We are moving forward. I know there's some people that got to get going. They've been looking forward to this time of year and this part on our agenda. So with that, Ben, we want to make sure, I want to invite, Ben, I want you to come up. You're kind of our election officer along with Lorraine, and then our bylaws say that in leadership, a vice chair, I can't remember what you. Yeah, and a vice chair, and Vice Chair Warner is not wanting to seek anything on the election, so she'll be one of those that will be participating. So let's just get into it. It's the only way to do it. Yeah, we're going to get into the election portion. So the first, is that my phone? Okay, the first part of this is take a motion on the number of vice chairs. Oh. Did you have something?
You know, I had a question first, and then I'd like to make a motion based on the answer. The cost of having 3 vice chairs, where were we on that, Lorraine? Was it a significant difference? Or does Scott know? I mean,
well, it would be just another person that gets per diem for every meeting, the leadership and the executive, and then mileage for that extra person. So
there is a cost.
Probably not. Okay. There is a cost, but not extremely significant.
Okay, so I think I'm going to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we have 2 vice chairs, because I calculated that out and I was a little concerned. But I would just like to make that motion and throw it out.
Okay, we have a motion for 2. Do we have a second? Laura? Let's get into the discussion. Board Member Stokes.
So I had heard the board, since we're going to get to do this all, stick around, public. This is going to be the best part.
Next, we're going to go to calendar.
I'd heard that, Terrell, that you weren't running again. Is that correct? Because that
is correct. I have a 14-year-old that is making me run a marathon, so I may not be with you in June or July because she's put me on a pretty strict training schedule, and I'm not sure I'm going to live through it. But in all seriousness, the Cache County Attorney's Office, we got a major grant, and I'm going to be overseeing that.
Okay,
So
that takes it. That's informative because it helps me with my vote on whether we go from 3 to 2.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Voting is unanimous, so we'll be 2 vice. The next item.
the flowers. I distracted everyone.
Oh.
So sorry, Chair.
You're distracting on the board chair election section right now.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we, since there are no other filings for chair, move that the chair be voted by acclamation. Or can we do that? Do we have to have a vote?
Well, first of all, you got to have a nomination in the meeting, and if it's just one, then you can go to.
Okay, sorry.
I have to nominate you.
You have to have a nomination.
You don't have to be nominated, just anybody from else.
Oh, I thought I had to be. Okay, it's got to be open for nominations. If there's none, then I've already put my name in. So is there any nominations?
If you would nominate me, I would turn it down.
Okay, not seeing any.
I'd make the motion that we vote that we re-elect Mark Huntsman as chair.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? I know your time's really valuable, so I'll save when I do my chair's report on a few things. Okay. Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, voting was unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next is the elections of on the vice chair. And Ben, do you want to remind, as we're passing the ballots out, that what this process will be like, that all of those that said they wanted to be up for consideration have submitted a letter, and then we've all had to be able to read that, but we can still take nominations to add.
Right.
But now let's get into the voting, what we're going to be experiencing here.
So you'll each get a ballot that should have a number of lines on it, and you should rank each of the candidates that's declared in order of your preference. So you would pick first, second, third, depending on how many people are in the running, and then the voting will proceed from there under the preferential system that we adopted in the bylaws last month.
Okay, teach us that. So you just write it down and that's it.
Right.
There won't be a second round.
The only reason there would be a second vote is if there's, for some reason, somebody doesn't rank everybody or if there's somebody that
It takes
that
8
would-
to,
that could cause it so that somebody doesn't get 8 first place votes or 8 top place votes to get the position. But if everybody ranks everybody 1 through 5, there shouldn't be a need for any additional rounds
so do I,
or
so,
however many
okay,
there are in the running.
Board Member Belknap.
Okay, so you can do that or not. It doesn't matter how you do that. Okay.
Yeah.
But here's my question. Let's say you rank. Let's say there's 3. Okay, there's more than that, but you rank the 3, and the first one gets 8 votes. What about the second place? What if they don't get 8
So
votes?
if the first round, if you have 3 candidates and one gets 8 votes, it's over. 8 votes is all you need to win.
We need 2 people.
Then you would have a second ballot
Oh, you
for the
start
second vice chair.
again.
I think is how we decided to do that in the bylaws.
That's how the
Okay,
bylaws
that makes a little more sense to me. Thank you, Ben.
So there will be two rounds of voting, and there will be 2 vice chair election chair spots to fill.
There's, okay, so does everyone have have we handed out the,
We got to take nominations.
okay, is there any, well, we'll write,
Make statements. Make
okay, but
nominations. Yeah, we can pass it
but are we going to make some open the nominations? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is invite any additional nominations from the floor for consideration as vice chairs. Okay, seeing none. Okay, I'm going to invite statements from the candidates. So we'll start, and then once you're done, I'll look to see if anyone has any questions. Okay, I'm going to start off with a statement, and you don't have to make a statement if you don't want to, but I'm going to go Elisa, Janet, Brittany, Kathleen. Okay, so Elisa, do you want to make a statement?
Sure. I just keep reflecting back last year. I had strep, and I wasn't contagious when I came to this meeting, but I was in a big fog because I felt really miserable. So anyways, I appreciate, even though I was sick as a dog, your willingness to give me a chance. And I've enjoyed this year, getting to know the other members of leadership and all of you. And I feel like there's a lot of work to do still. And one of my big goals is, where appropriate, I don't feel like that being a member of board leadership means that I should be more in the know than other board members. And so I'd like to make sure that we improve that. So so what I'm talking about, are there things that you as board leadership, you have to make decisions, but there are other things that are informational, that we may be able to get information on, and it's not necessarily time sensitive or anything. And so just making sure that we let the rest of the board know those kinds of things is what just to explain what I'm saying there. But anyways, and making sure that we create a proper balance between our role as board members, and how we work with our staff, being respectful, but also recognizing our positions in the governing body, and that we are held accountable to the people for the actions that are taken here. So thank you.
Okay, any questions? Okay, seeing none. Board Member Cannon?
Thank you. Well, I would love an opportunity to serve you. And I just want to say that I believe that those who are elected to board leadership are elected to be servants of the full board, and that the power resides in the full board and not in the executive committee, but they are our servants. And I would work in leadership to make sure that the full board has the power. I want to see our board enhance some relationships with all the key players in education. For those of you who don't know me very well, I've had some background. I served on the board previously as a vice chair. I was on the Board of Regents. I was a liaison between the State Board and the State Charter School Board. And I was a Western Area Director at NASB. I believe that my experience and institutional memory perhaps would be helpful in building relationships that might be beneficial to the board. I outlined in my statement a couple of ideas that I thought might improve our board processes. One is to have ongoing board meeting evaluations. This would just be a piece of paper that everybody gets, and it would have some questions on it, and like what did we do today that you felt was really valuable? What kind of things should we do as a result of what our meeting was? Like if I were filling out one for today, I think I'd fill it out about the woman who gave public comment from Bella Vista Elementary, and she has sent us an email suggesting some things she's interested in, and I'd like to see us follow through on some of those things, and so I might recommend that to board leadership. And so we'd fill these out anonymously and just share them with everyone, and it would be a way to give input to board leadership that I think might be helpful. Strategic planning, I love that we have Brittany and we have our superintendent who've been so dedicated on strategic planning, and it's such a hard thing to do. I think what we're missing are some action steps that we could take as a board. And on those action steps, I think we should get the input of everyone. And if we come up with some things that we have consensus on, we should move forward with those and track what we do over the year. And then at the end of the year, look back and say, have we made a difference? Because I see the strategic plan as a way each of us can make a difference in public education during our service on the board. I would be certainly honored to serve in the leadership, and I will promise you that if I'm elected, I will calendar a board Christmas party for next year right away.
Ooh, okay, there you go. A bribery. Okay, any questions for Board Member Cannon? Okay, thank you for your comments. Vice Chair Brittany Cummins.
Well, it's been a delightfully long day, and so I planned a 45-minute speech that I'd like to share just for Spencer. No. But I know I've spoken to this in the past, but I value efficiency, and I've given up on efficiency of time in a 15-member board. Some of that efficiency is not appropriate. We need to have discussion. But one of the things that I do think is an important area of efficiency is ensuring that each board member knows how to get their voice heard, so that they don't feel their only avenue is just to speak an opinion in board meeting, because there are efficient ways to take that opinion and get it from just an expression in a board meeting to something that can create action. And so that we can create board meetings that are geared towards action and less about conversation. And so that's my thought as I think of myself as a vice chair, would be to create those efficiencies. So we're focused on actionable items and less about just information and conversation. So.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Board Member Reeby.
I'd like to start with a question about when was the order decided, because, just kidding. I would like to move forward as a board with more collaboration, more bridge building, and more reflection. I would like to reiterate everything that's been said prior, but that would take longer. So I think I'll end it there.
Okay. Board Member Stokes, now your light's on, okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask each of the people who didn't commit to the Christmas party where they stand on that. No, I was going to ask this. Who was our first, second, and third vice chairs? What was the order of that? So Terrell was first,
Second.
third. Okay.
Right, but the bylaws don't, it doesn't specify that there's. It doesn't say like one has more seniority over another. Yeah. It was practice. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments of the candidates? Seeing none, we do have a question. Vice Chair Ellis.
Sorry, I know that you answered this, but it's still confusing to me. So you're saying that you don't have to rank them? How does that work?
Rank the candidates 1 through 4.
Right. But some people are saying you didn't have to rank them.
Well,
So now I'm confused.
I don't think anybody's going to arrest you if you don't.
Okay,
The intent is that you will rank them 1 through 4.
got it.
First one drops out, you don't have anybody else.
Are you going to the part where we had the conversation whether if you just put one person or two person?
Well, but
Or what are you?
if they don't put, they just put 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, like, the check mark, how does that work? Well, you should probably do. That's what I thought you were asking.
No.
That's what I thought you were asking. That's what I thought you were saying. And I was like, how does that
No.
work? You have to do 1, 2. I know, but I thought that's what you said. Got it. Oh, okay. Does that make sense?
Yes. Okay, Board Member Lear.
Which one of you, I have a question probably, which one of you next year will just have us raise our hands? Okay, never mind.
Okay, I think we're ready to vote.
Make
So-
sure to remind the board members they need to write their names.
Name at the top and pass the ballot to whom?
They have to pick them up. We can't pass them.
Okay, so we're going to fold them and
You don't even have to fold them because your name's
Not that you're not going to open them.
Carol, you're in on the counting, and I'm not sure.
Oh, yay. Do we have them from the other side? Well, you better not. I need to pick them up. I'm going to. Did we pick them up from this side?
Yeah, Sid did.
Okay.
Hey,
Ben come in with, Ben.
I know you guys are really wanting to go, so while this counting's going on, I don't think it's out of bounds if I speak and do a little bit of my. Well, let's take a break. Okay, I just have a short little thing. Let's have a break. Okay, go for it. Okay. Are you sure? Hey, there's a couple things, and those that are slipping out for the break might miss out on it. So I might have to save it for when I get back. But are you listening? Okay. There's been some requests and some concerns, not really concerns, but how to, if we want to take a position on something or make a statement on something, what would be the best protocol to do that? And usually we act on our agenda. And so the best place to do that is to get it on the agenda. And I think as in a leadership position and considering a lot of factors, if there's something that somebody really wants to make a statement on or take a position on, that we follow the same protocol that we've had in the past, where you get another board member on, then we get it on the agenda for information. And I think it's real important that before we take a firm position on something, that we have a discussion and then come back a month later, because we want to go and do our homework and dig into it and then make an official position in most cases, unless it's some emergency thing where we're requested from the legislature or something happens that way. So I want to just throw that out to you. You know, there's been quite a few inquiries and that on certain things that have been hot topics. So if you guys don't, if I'm not seeing any opposition to that, I think let's give that a try, because this is your board. And if you think there's something of substance that we need to put on our agenda to take a position on, let's get on the agenda as some discussion, and we'll try to start that discussion and then turn it back to you to do your own homework or legwork or whatever and get additional information to come back and make it a very good informed decision. It's not something that we do every month, and we sometimes we'll almost go a whole year, but we have to be really careful. I think we've got to be really careful of going outside, and I'll throw this out there too. If it has nothing to do with our stewardship as this governing board, then we shouldn't be kind of in that world of taking positions to take a position. So I'm throwing that out there a little bit, but does anyone have any questions on what I just shared? So I throw that invitation out. It doesn't have to be something that pushes all the way down into the
Mark,
weeds.
can I
Yes.
ask a question? So, when I'm out and about, we were at this conference last week, and we met with a whole lot of legislators, and they asked for our opinion on some of the issues and just our personal opinions. And so we gave it to them. It's not, and we made it clear that it wasn't a board opinion, and we didn't agree. None of us agreed on opinions, but are those the kinds of things you're talking about? Would you think that's all right, just to give
I think that's
personal
perfectly
opinions
all right, because
to legislators?
to legislators
and
to
they're asking
state
for
that-
knowing that we're board members, though.
well, they're valuing the fact that you represent some constituents and that you are engaged in the education community. And we've had this in the past. I feel like I'm lecturing here, but just be very guarded to say this is a personal opinion, and keep it that way, because if you don't say that, it can backfire on you. And so, and they'll respect that for the most part, but they value, they're in the relationship business, and Spencer's really, I'm glad, Spencer, you're going to talk on this.
Well, I'm just going to say that he's probably referring to me. I came out against the Ogden City School Bond. But
I'm not. But go ahead.
I came out and openly, publicly, because they wouldn't provide us any details.
You're a constituent.
So, what was that? Well, I don't know, but we're going to get asked because we're school board members, and I differ a little bit from Chairman Huntsman. You're elected independently of this board, and so if you're asked, it's you. It hasn't had a 15-member vote. The 15th vice chair didn't get to weigh in, but it is you do have to, I think, be very clear who you're speaking on behalf. That there's no board position on this, but my opinion is this.
Chair?
Yes.
I just wanted to say one other thing, because I appreciate that, and I also appreciate when you say that it's not you, but I think another piece we could add is the board has not weighed in on this. It might still be a topic of discussion. I feel this way. But that's also very helpful to state that up front as well.
Okay, thank you. Board Member Reeby?
I like what Laura Belknap said. I've had constituents call me and say that this is what I've heard from my board member. So when you speak as an individual, I would strongly urge that you state your personal opinions very guardedly, because they don't hear that. And to me, when I'm invited someplace, I'm not invited as Kathleen Reeby, but I'm invited as board member Reeby. So I try really hard to make sure that I'm always board member Reeby, and Kathleen Reeby, the person, is very small compared to Kathleen Reeby, the board member. So just please be very careful when you state your personal opinions.
Okay, thank you. The votes are in, and we've followed the procedures, and the first the first vice chair is Brittany Cummins. So congratulations. So now we're ready for the next round. So it's basically the same procedure. Do we have, yes, I'm going to do that. Do we, yeah, do we have any further nominations? Seeing none. Okay. What? So, what's that? No, we're gonna vote, turn these in, and then I'll go on to my remarks.
So we're going to crown the winners.
Hey, I have been crowned before, like a year ago. There was a octopus, this orange octopus, and I was sitting over on this side, and Spencer, I guess it bugged him. It looked like a jester's hat or something, and he got me just right. And that has been circulated amongst my family members. And oh, this is cute. The other part of this, I just want to express my, we got this voting all done, my appreciation to the past leadership. It's been a challenging, a little bit of a challenging year. We've had a lot of issues, but they have addressed every challenge as it's come before us, and they've always had our board best interests in mind as we're moving forward and pushing agendas forward and dealing with issues. And they've been really good to work with. They've been good to take on assignments and represent us when they've taken on assignments and big assignments and kind of the divide and conquer. And I really thank them in a big way for their contribution to the board. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of time, a lot of extra conversations. And so thank you very much. I also want to express appreciation to the rest of the board for your support. I just want you to know that I'm going to continue on to be as fair and reasonable as possible, to best my abilities. I appreciate your patience and your forgiveness at times when I might be a little bit off. If I'm not hearing everything that you're saying or how you're saying it, but my intentions are always to represent you and not my own personal interests, even though I represent a pretty significant geographical portion of the state. My constituents and superintendents and everyone that's been involved understands that in this capacity here, that my constituents now, because of what you have done in a chair position, is everyone in the state. All of yours. And so they know that they have slid a little bit to the back burner, and they've been okay with that. And so I appreciate your support and patience in the past. I'm looking forward to more of that in the future, and I hope we can still bring a lot of really good positive betterments to education. If you look at the scorecard, if you check yourself away from a lot of things, is education in Utah better or worse from month to month, or even this past year than where it was before, and I believe it's moving in the right direction. There isn't any, I don't see new board members and old board members. I lost that a long time ago because you guys, the new board members coming in, went to veteran status. There shouldn't be something new or old really, really quick. And so I appreciate that. And what you do with your constituents. So thank you. Board Member Stokes, what have you got?
I'd like to echo I think from the board's standpoint, we do believe, for one, feel like that you do represent us well and as a whole, and you don't put your agenda ahead of any of ours. But I'd also like to give a shout out to Terrell. Terrell, although I'm not the easiest person to reach out to, Terrell has regularly reached out to me, and we'll miss her in the vice chair role. We understand that she's going to be running a marathon. We'll be there with signs, Terrell. But I do want to, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Your second vice chair is Elisa Ellis. So congratulations. For those that ran and that, thank you. And you're still engaged and you're very much a part of what we do, and want you to continue to be engaged as much as you possibly can stand. There's a lot going on. So that concludes the election results, correct? Or election process. Okay, back to I just want to wrap up on my board chair report. We will be, and I'll be discussing with leadership. We'll be shaking up some committees and some assignments and that. And so what I'm asking you to do, or I'm going to ask Lorraine to send out, is on committees. You guys you serve on several committees and you have different assignments. Will you please promptly, how soon can you make the request out to them to remind them to get back with you if they have any preference on committee assignments? We'll be seeking that really, really soon, so we can get those made. So so thank you. Does anyone have any questions for me? Okay, seeing. Well, thank you.